Joining me right now is Texas Senator, Senate Foreign Relations and Judiciary Committee member, and author of the new book, One Vote Away, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. I got to get your reaction. I know you met with Judge Barrett yesterday, and your new book outlines the importance of filling the seat. So let me get to that in a moment. Give me your reaction to the debate last night, Senator.
Well, good morning, Maria. It was raucous. It was wild. You know, it reminded me a little bit of watching a Detroit Pistons game in the 1980s. There were a lot of hard fouls, a lot of missed shots. At the end of the day, I don't know that it changed a whole lot of votes. I think all the people that were with President Trump are still with President Trump, and I suspect all the people that were with Joe Biden are still with Biden. There were some good moments. There were some moments that stood out. By far, the president's best moment was when he clearly went after Joe Biden on the economy and the shutdown, and he made clear that Joe Biden wants to shut down the economy, shut down small business, and is destroying jobs, and that the president wants to open up the economy and get people back to work and also get people back to school. And I thought Biden was pretty flat-footed in his response. That was the best moment for the president. But there were some pretty bumpy moments last night as well.
Yeah, I agree with you that, I mean, I don't feel like you learned all that much, and I don't think that it changed people's minds at this point, but obviously a raucous night. Look, the issue of the Supreme Court came up. You write all about this and have studied this for so many years. You met with Judge Barrett yesterday. Tell me about that as you outline in the book the importance of filling this seat. What was your expectation going into meeting Judge Barrett? Biden pushed back last night and said, no, we should not be filling the seat until after the election.
Well, I met with Judge Barrett yesterday, spent about 45 minutes with her at the Capitol. I thought she was very impressive, very serious. She's got impeccable credentials, #1 in her class at Notre Dame Law School, law clerk to Justice Scalia, law professor at Notre Dame for 20 years. One of the top federal appellate judges in the country, and somehow miraculously she does all of that while at the same time being a mom to 7 kids, which I can't even imagine just doing the latter, much less doing everything else she does on top of that. I thought she's very impressive and a strong nominee. You know, in the debate, I wish the president had talked a little bit more about why this pick matters. His answer was essentially, I won, I'm president, I get to do this. Okay, fine, but why does it make a difference to the American people? And I think that question is really important. You mentioned my new book came out yesterday, One Vote Away. The entire book is really why this makes a difference to the American people, because what it does is it breaks down the key issues before the court. But before I was in the Senate, I was a Supreme Court litigator. That's what I did for a living, is argue cases at the Supreme Court. And every chapter of the book takes on a different constitutional liberty, from free speech to religious liberty to the Second Amendment to elections and democracy. And it really just tells war stories. It brings people inside, behind the curtain, to understand, all right, what's going on at the court? What are these issues? Why does it matter to me? And it's really quite striking. On issue after issue after issue, our basic liberties that we count on, that we value, they were decided in landmark cases, many of which were 5-4, many of which I played a really active part in litigating, that we're one vote away from losing those liberties. So I would have liked to see the president explain a little bit more why this nomination. The American people chose him for a reason. They chose him to put Judge Barrett on the court, and I hope at the next debate the president explains why that matters to the voter sitting at home watching the debate.
Yeah. I saw yesterday the president tweeted out your book, saying that our great First Amendment, great Second Amendment, our right to worship God, so much more comes down to one vote on the court. Ted Cruz has a fantastic new book about it. Congrats on getting that tweet from the president. Walk us through what's at stake today, Senator, because this election may very well be contested on November 3rd. Yes. We're going to need a ninth voice there. We are expecting that the court is going to hear an argument against Obamacare pretty soon after the election. So what are the main issues that you think will be in front of Judge Barrett should she get appointed? And confirmed.
Well, I think the whole gamut, and one of the things to remember is that Supreme Court nominations are typically measured in decades and not even years. It's one of the reasons why you don't necessarily focus on one particular case coming up next term or the term after, because 30 years from now, nobody remembers what those were. And you know, in the book, for example, I have a chapter on free speech that talks about the Citizens United case. Now, most people have heard of Citizens United, but they don't really know what was at issue there. They know the Democrats hate the case. Citizens United was about the First Amendment right that all of us have as Americans to criticize politicians. And what happened there, it is a small nonprofit called Citizens United made a movie critical of Hillary Clinton. And the Obama Justice Department took the position that they could fine them and punish them for daring to make a movie critical of Hillary Clinton. And the case went all the way to the Supreme Court. There was a really chilling exchange at the oral argument where Justice Sam Alito asked the Obama Justice Department, said, under your theory of the case, could the federal government ban books? Could they ban books if the books are critical of a politician? And the Obama DOJ said, yes, the federal government can ban books. It was a radical interpretation of the First Amendment. Now, thankfully, the Supreme Court rejected that 5-4. But there were 4 justices prepared to say the federal government can ban movies, can ban books, if they're critical of politicians. Yeah. That dramatically weakens our First Amendment rights. And what's striking, Maria, both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden have pledged to nominate justices to reverse that decision. And that's, in a very real sense, how our free speech rights are hanging in the balance at the court, one vote away.
Wow. Unbelievable. All right, you mentioned Hillary Clinton. I'm going to take a break, but when we come back, I've got to ask you about this new declassified document that we got from John Ratcliffe yesterday that basically says it was Hillary Clinton's idea to insert Donald Trump into a story about Russia collusion. We'll talk about this when we come right back with you, Senator. Stay with us. We're talking with Senator Ted Cruz. We've got breaking news. I'm back with Senator Ted Cruz this morning, and we have breaking news, something that I first reported years ago. Now it is backed up by bombshell new Crossfire hurricane documents. They were declassified by Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe outlined in a letter to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham that Hillary Clinton approved a plan to link then-candidate Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin and Russian hacking of the DNC. The letter also says that the Obama administration was briefed on this as well. I broke this story while talking with Senator Graham on Sunday Morning Futures yesterday, but now we have the actual documents declassified. Senator Ted Cruz, what's your reaction to this?
Look, it's a stunning revelation, and anyone watching this develop, it's not at the end of the day surprising, because it was clear this was a political hit job. This was a political hit job from the beginning. One of the very worst legacies of the Obama-Biden administration is they politicized, and they did an awful lot to destroy the Department of Justice and the FBI and the intelligence agencies. And they basically turned DOJ and the FBI into Oppo research centers and political attack dogs. And in this instance, what was declassified is that Hillary Clinton was personally briefed in July of 2016. So in the middle of the presidential election, she was briefed on a plan, on a scheme. Let's accuse Trump of essentially Russia collusion. And Hillary, according to the declassified information, she personally signed off on that attack. And then Obama was briefed on it, and the Department of Justice began executing that attack. That's not the job of DOJ and the FBI. And the political leadership at those agencies have a lot to answer for. I hope they're held accountable for their abuse of power, because it did enormous damage to the integrity of the institution.
It certainly did, Senator, and we've been talking about this for a few years. On Sunday, I broke news that we are not going to get an interim report from John Durham. It is unlikely that we're going to see any indictments before the election. Perhaps after the election, John Durham will tell us some of his conclusions to his criminal investigation into exactly that. Do you believe we will see indictments? Will we see accountability for this group of leaders at the top of the FBI and possibly the CIA who turned our intelligence agencies into weapons against a political opponent?
I don't know. I am frustrated, deeply frustrated that people haven't been held accountable yet. I can tell you when I'm back in Texas, I hear from Texans all the time that just say, what the hell is wrong? Like they can break the law, they can abuse power, and they seem to get off scot-free. James Comey is going to be testifying before the Judiciary Committee today. I hope that testimony starts to hold him accountable, but I'll tell you, all of these individuals right now there seem to be no consequences for a gross abuse of power. By the way, when the Obama-Biden administration targeted General Michael Flynn, who had spent decades serving our country, honorably defending this nation, and they went after him, they attacked him, it was Barack Obama and Joe Biden personally who were directing much of that attack, briefed on it in the Oval Office, both of them. And yet I'm very disappointed if there's going to be no transparency and no accountability before the election. I think that's the Department of Justice not acting swiftly enough to clean up their own mess and to clean up their own department. And if Joe Biden wins, it'll get swept under the rug and no one will ever be held accountable. Part of the reason they need to act with some expediency is one of the principal objectives. I mean, it was Joe Biden was implicated directly in this conduct. So if he comes in covering it up, sweeping it under the rug, ignoring the lawyer at the FBI who fraudulently altered a document and lied to the FISA court, all of that's going to be on the agenda.
You're right. You're 100% right, Senator. I've been saying this for a long time, Mark Penn, and even though you worked with Hillary Clinton, Mark, you saw this as well. Over the last several years with me on set, you knew that there was something that stunk to high heaven here. Your reaction to all of this?
Well, Senator, I don't see how you can say there are no consequences. You get a book contract, you get speaking fees, you get, look, I think we know a lot more of the facts for this time when Comey comes before to the Senate to testify, right? Previously, we didn't know about the White House meeting. Did in fact Joe Biden talk about the Logan Act? What happened at that meeting? Did in fact the FBI director bypass the Justice Department and give this information to the political appointees and not the Justice Department? Did he lie about when he knew that the Hillary Clinton campaign had paid for the dossier and about the subsource? We know so much more now that this questioning ought to be a lot more difficult for Comey. If it's not, then the people running the Senate are just not up to it.
Yeah, but Senator, before you answer that, isn't this a little bit of a sham because it's a public hearing? I mean, come on. He's just going to say that's confidential. I can't get into it. This is specific to what I've been working on. Are we really going to get information from Comey today when you and your colleagues throw these questions at him, as Mark just laid out?
Look, probably not. Comey is slippery. We've seen Sally Yates before testify. She's very slippery. They're very good at dodging. They don't answer questions. They deflect. It's always somebody else's problem. It's always some other issue. And one of the challenges, a public hearing can be useful for shining a light, for helping make some of those facts public. But a legislative hearing lacks the ability to indict someone, to bring criminal proceedings, to have actual legal consequences attached to their misconduct. That's what needs to happen. I expect, and unfortunately, Comey's testimony today is going to be via Zoom or distance, which makes it even worse because I expect him to dodge every question. Doesn't mean that we're not going to press, and I'm certainly going to press, but it's no substitute for a grand jury and an indictment holding people accountable for breaking the law. That's what needs to happen.
Who do you think the mastermind of this all was? Was it Hillary Clinton or somebody else?
From what I've seen, John Brennan was right at the middle of all of this. John Brennan, running the intelligence agency, seems to be pulling an awful lot of the strings. But Comey was right in the middle of it, and Hillary and Obama and Biden all personally signed off on it.
All right. Senator, it's great to see you. Senator Ted Cruz, congrats on the book. One vote away. We'll be right back.